Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back in the update 1.83 dev server, and we're having a look at one of the new maps. This is a ship map, and sorry about the frame rate. It seems like there's a lot of stuff going on this map, so I apologize if it looks not the best to you. But basically, this is one of the new naval maps. It's called Black Sea Port, and in the south you have an area such as here, which is designed for PT boats to fight, and then in the northern 2 points, B and C, what you have is an area which is much more designed for destroyers and light cruisers. So the idea is, as PT boats, you spawn at the bottom here where A is, and you take this position for yourself. And once you take this position, you can then head north to help out your destroyers against their destroyers. Now, what is nice about this little area down here is that there is a lot of cover from specific angles. So what I'm talking about is the fact that, you have these rocks here, you have these rocks here, you have these rocks over here as well, and you have a bunch of different stuff around the place. I'm pretty sure that I've actually seen this map in the pre-CBT. I do remember a lot of areas that looked very similar to this, so it is kind of nice to see it come back. But anyway, yeah, the area around A is going to be heavily contested if you are in a small vehicle. If you are not in a small vehicle, then what it's going to end up with is you are going to be fighting over B and C, which are much more open and expansive, which makes sense for the larger ships. So around A should be fun. This is definitely a much more realistic style map, and the reason I can say this is because the amount of distance between the points and also the focus on the larger ships. Generally, as you go up in BR, people play more people play much more higher tier stuff at a realistic instead of arcade, and therefore this will be aimed at those types of people. So, we're going forward. As you can see, the expanse between A and B is quite open, and this is where we run into the first issue if you are a small little ship. So taking A would be a hell of a lot of fun in this system. Basically, you have two sides fighting each other, and whoever wins is able to cap A. Then, once as a small ship, you actually take this area, what ends up happening is you are stuck in a scenario where you're either going to get pelted from the left by destroyers or pelted from the right by destroyers or light cruisers. So how are you going to make this open journey? I mean, there's only really one way, and that's to try and help your teammates, and you do that through the clever use of smoke. And you can do this by just setting up a line between A and B. Hopefully the people around you will be close to you. Does this help you as an individual? No, of course not. You are probably going to get yourself blasted, but at least you can help others. Also, you have the depth charges. Maybe you can do something with them, but the area is just so open for between A and B. I feel like if you are in a map like this and you are a small boat, you might as well just stay near A. There is no way you are going to actually be able to survive between the 2 points, and we haven't even talked about C yet. C is even more crazy when it comes to this idea. But yeah, there are large open swathes of area where the destroyers and the light cruisers from either side will be able to break your will, and you can see over there, once again, large swathes of water. So this is definitely designed as a much more higher tier destroyer light cruiser map, and you can see this by the size of the cap points as well. The cap points are large, they have nice open spaces, there's a wonderful crane there, there's some kind of weird fort, which is lovely to see, and as usual they've done a really nice job at modelling these naval maps. I think the naval maps themselves are beautiful to look at. You have the little lighthouse here, you have the large one over there, then of course you have what seems to be an old fort over here. The Black Sea is obviously an interesting place historically and culturally, so it is nice to see it actually shown in game. So I think I've demonstrated that this is going to be a heavily a destroyer light cruiser centric map. So what we're actually going to do is hop into a light cruiser and see how it plays from that position, because once you've taken the area, I don't think stuff like, stuff such as, MGBs, dark classes, farmhouse are going to be useful at all. I think they're just going to get blown out the water. So let's have a look at what it looks like from a light cruiser's point of view. You can either spawn here, or you can spawn in these two positions. You do get a little bit of cover out of spawn, which is really nice to see. And on the other side, they also get a little bit of cover. Their spawn is over here, so in order to shoot across, it's quite a fair distance. It's not something you're going to be able to do very quickly, especially in this machine. I mean, you can fire as many ranging shots as you want, but you're still eventually going to hit, but it's going to take you a while. Way up. This thing turns incredibly well, but for me it always seems like it's trying to fall over. 70 kilometers an hour, by the way, in this thing right now. Pretty nippy machine. But anyway, so once you get to this position in a light cruiser, you can cover C quite easily. You can cover, if we can see it, you can cover B over here, but there is the castle in the way, so actually covering B would be easier to do from the other spawn point position. This position here is definitely designed to fight around C, and then B is very much designed for these guys here. So each spawn point is to their own. Moving between each of the domination points is going to be the hard thing to do for the majority of the ships, especially once one side gets the superiority. Because what is going to happen is they're just going to push past the points and sit in the open water here, wait for you to spawn, and then just try and blow you out of the water. And you, as a defender, should have the advantage in that situation, but it's still not going to be pretty. Also, this machine is absolutely beautiful. I've got to say, I really like how this machine looks. But anyway, over there we have what seems to be a fort on fire. We have, of course, a very old lighthouse, so let's just see if we can put a few holes in it. I don't think we can. The reload on the guns on this machine is not the best, but it is okay compared to other light cruisers. Right, there go the shots. I have a feeling those went miles in the air for some reason, but anyway, you can see the area between C and B, and even between the spawns in C and B, are going to be heavily contested and are quite large. This means that there's a lot of open space for destroyers and light cruisers to fight. It means that being able to corner off certain areas with torpedoes is going to be quite hard to do. It is not going to be something that is going to be the easiest. So overall, what we're getting is a map completely designed for the destroyer light cruiser idea, and I think that's completely great. We have a lot of lower tier maps, arcadey maps, which are designed for the rank 2, rank 1s of this world. It is nice to get a map which is thoroughly designed with the larger ships in mind, and it also means that maybe we're going to get some kind of expansion towards these larger ships. Instead of one light cruiser, maybe every nation will get 2, maybe there'll be some more destroyers. You never know, anything is possible. What is kind of interesting though is that you have these little boats around, and obviously if we go on the front here, you can see this little boat. It seems to be destroyed or covered in oil, and well, we can make it disappear. It's the best way to do it, and the best way to say it. So it looks like there are these little areas of this map which make it feel alive. You've got the fires going, you've got the lighthouses, they're not on, hopefully they're on at night, and then you've got the little boats. There might be a few too many of them, which are kind of just stuck out in the middle of nowhere, especially since they're all surrounded by the same issue. There's just an oil spill around them, which is kind of funny, but it is kind of cool how you can just crush them under the front of your ship. By the way, this light cruiser is quite maneuverable for what it is, which is lovely. Hopefully I don't... oh, I'm gonna bash... right, hold... right, there we go. So we don't bash ourselves. But we still haven't made it to sea yet, by the way, and we haven't exactly been going slow. We've been going at 60 kilometers an hour. We're about halfway there. This shows how large this map is. We've been going for maybe about 5 to 6 to 7 minutes. The majority of other maps, you would have been in a position to be able to cap one of the points at least. And if you spawn at the northern spawn point, well, you're not even in a position yet to capture C. I feel like a lot of people are going to favour the central spawn points, and the reason for this is because you have a situation where moving from this area to C or B, you have more options. Whereas if you spawn in the top, you're basically just fighting the people who have decided to spawn opposite you, and it's going to take you ages to get to even one of the one of the domination points in the form of C. So I think overall it may be better to spawn at the central points. You can also help the guys down here if the enemy has decided to bring in a lot of smaller ships instead of the larger ships. It is nice that one of the areas will be contested by smaller ships, but to have a map which is more designed around larger ships, hopefully this promotes people wanting to play larger ships more and playing the 4.3 destroyers, which are to me the most balanced ones between the nations. It is going to be interesting to see if this one is incorporated into arcade battles. For me, it seems a little bit big for arcade battles, so realistic is probably the way to go with it. And because of that, hopefully we see a condensed version for arcade coming at some point. As somebody who really enjoys ship arcade, I would like to see a new map like this, you know, with the scenery and stuff, which is just condensed to maybe this area here. And maybe that's why they've designed it like this. So you have this condensed area for arcade, and then you have the larger area here, which is much more for realistic. I mean, if we look at it generally, that looks like what they've done. So maybe that's the thought process here. Anyway, we are nearly at the C point. It's taken us quite a long time to get here, and I think what I'll do is I'll end the video here. Overall, I think this map has a lot of potential, especially for the rank 3 and rank 4 ships. The smaller ships, I believe, are just going to get mauled on this, so if you do get on this map, make sure to bring a destroyer or a light cruiser. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.